really pressing out mostly at the bottom with my left hand. I don't want to cut into this anymore. I need that support, so it's all going to be from the inside at this point. And you want one clean, nice, clear undulation, no bumps. And that's true of any bowl shape. This needs to be one smooth curve. A lot of times you'll find in bowls, you'll find a little bump right in about here. That's because that person's still learning to make bowls a little bit. A good way to judge a bowl is by that. So you see I'm starting to come out, and I'm going to lift this clay up a little bit now with my right hand. Actually thinning out the clay a little bit here because I got plenty of rim. And keeping my knuckle under here so I actually form a lip to that rim, which will accentuate in a minute. So let's see where we're at. Probably about 15.5 now. No, we're at 16, so you see how fast it comes out. And that's probably somewhere around the range you shoot for a goal, but anything between 16 and 18 is fairly acceptable because it's still a pretty big sink. I never let drips of water sit on the clay because that can actually etch the clay. And that's exactly what you don't want. You want a nice smooth surface. So I think we got one more turn on this and then we're about done with the throwing. Now I'm going to do the drain. Can you see the action? So now we're going to go ahead and put this drain in, and then I'll finish up the pot. So all I'm going to do is open this clay straight down, knowing that I got that big chunk of clay down there. And I'm pushing against the edge, so if there's any lack of density, it'll be taken up. So I'm just opening this up, and it's hard to do perfect, and if you get off a little bit, don't worry. There's really no standard drain size, but 1.5 inches will take everything. Now I'm all the way down to the bottom, which is about that thick. And I'm just going to cut away that excess clay because it's easier to do that than cut it right off. Now we're gonna open it up a little bit more, and I'm pressing really hard to the outside to make sure that it has plenty of density. Now when we flip this over and trim this, we'll have the opportunity to make it exactly 1.5 inches. It's about 1.5 inches right now. Most drains are 1.25 inches, but they have a flange that's about 1/2 inch, so if you missed by 1/2 inch, you'd still have plenty of room. I don't intend to miss by 1/2 inch. Just from experience, I pretty much know what the distance is here. And that's about, oops, my sponge got caught in there. Come on back out. Now because the fixture has got a little flange in it, you don't want that flange sticking up on top of the clay. So we're going to make a space for that. I'll show that to you in a minute. As soon as you really want to make sure that this is the bottom so that when somebody's using the sink and they turn off the water, there's not water standing in the sink. So I push that down a little bit. Now I'm going to widen it back out. And with my knuckle I'm going to just push down with my thumb, leaving my knuckle, I'd never know which, and make room for that flange. It's going to go right there. And about 1/8 of an inch drop, and then at an angle, so this flange will be right smooth with that. Typical drain has about, oh, it's probably about 3/8 of an inch, and that'll go right there. So that's what we're doing with that. Okay, now I want to smooth out the bottom again. Look on this whole curve. A little water on the outside so I can hold this clay. Again, make sure that your wheel speed is nice and slow so you can kind of breathe and get into it. Work on this side so you can see it. Now I'm just pressing down lightly. Pushing the sand in so I have a nice surface to slip when it comes to that, and glazing. Now you notice that this rim is way turned in, and that's because, again, when the water comes up, you want it to go back in. But that's a little high, so we're going to lower that. We call that a splash rim. The first ones we did not have splash rims, and that was some of the feedback we got with people with kids. So I'm just going to hold this rim. And I'm going to push down. To make that a little bit separate. Take a piece of plastic and round that off. Now, as I round that off, I'm really pushing hard because this thing will get hit by something at some time. So I want it really nice and dense.